Welcome. I'm Kinetic Symphony. I hunt down and report on weird and true mysterious stories, from glitches to the paranormal. Would you like even more content? Here's my Patreon. Now onto the stories. Case file number 1114, written by Chilibreez, The Trail Guide's Time Loop. I was about 13 years old, away at summer Boy Scout camp. On this particular day, we were taking a trail ride on horseback, the first part of which started from camp. 15 minutes or so to pick up some supplies, then on for several more hours. Our guide, Carrie, told our group of 4, "Go ahead, I need to pack some more things. I'll catch up in a few minutes." We were experienced and pretty responsible for our age, so this wasn't a big deal. It should be noted that we were headed down a mountain. About 10 minutes later, we can see our next stop, and Carrie coming up the mountain towards us. She should have been catching up from behind. When she went to us, she said the exact same thing. "Go ahead, I need to pack some more things, I'll catch up in a few minutes." Then she rode off towards camp. We all gave each other a kind of what the fluck look, but being teenage boys, we were all too cool to admit we were confused by something. And Carrie was a good-looking woman in her 20s, so no way in hell were any of us going to admit to her that we didn't know what was going on. She did catch up with us later, never saying a word. If she was pranking us, I don't get it, and it would have been pretty dangerous for her to go off the trail in that area at a speed to get around us that quickly, just to come back up ahead of us. Still dumbfounds me to this day. Case notes for file 1114, The Trail Guide's Time Loop. Ah yes, the peer pressure of our teenage years. I'd always speak my mind, which would get me into trouble. Oops. And also I wasn't really popular. I was always like the outcast. I was homeschooled for 4 years of high school. The first year I was there, which in Canada is 5 years of high school. So yeah, the first year I was there and I would just do my own thing, and I was never really in a group. You know, there's always niches and cliques like jocks and nerds and all that, but I just was doing my own thing. I was the tree climber. For the glitch, it seems like you boys were caught in a time anomaly. So inside of it, time flowed faster, which meant that your instructor Carrie was at base camp earlier than when you encountered her in the real non-relative timeline. I think it's a good way to frame it. For most of our existence, time is absolute, and the relativity between us is essentially non-existent. Say there's the tiniest delay difference for, say, astronauts orbiting around Earth at 5 miles per second. In all other reference frames for us, my time is your time and your time is mine. There's no real difference. These localized pockets of bizarre world relative time really trip us up. I mean, entirely invisible, no sensation of crossing into one. You know, there is actually a hypothesis I came across suggesting that those who suffer from random vertigo, it's when their inner ears are caught between time distortions, the pocket of time distortion, and one ear is in it and the other ear isn't, and that slight variance causes vertigo. Even for a split second, you know, if a lot of these time anomalies are very small, maybe they only affect your part of your mind, and maybe the difference in time is very minute. Maybe inside the time anomaly, time is 0.7% faster or slower, but even a tiny anomaly like that would affect your sense of balance. It's a very interesting hypothesis, I think. I also think it's very cool that your summer camp was with horsebacks riding on a mountain trail. That's so cool. Like you were cast into a Red Dead Redemption game. Nice. Case file number 1115, written by marryacomputer, The Mystery of My Magic Bottle Opener. I have this really unique bottle opener. I've never seen anything like it before, and people are usually really thrown off when they use it for the first time, because it's kind of unconventional and they're not used to it. But I love that bottle opener, and I'm always careful to consistently put it away in the same spot so I don't lose it. Just about a week ago, I dropped my chapstick in my car between the driver's seat and the middle console. I fumbled my hand around in there for a minute trying to find it, but instead, I pulled out my trusty bottle opener? Weird, I thought to myself. Maybe it fell out of my purse someday recently? I just couldn't imagine why it would ever be in my car, but I shrugged it off because, hey, at least I found it, so I won't be totally screwed next time I try using it. I throw it in my purse and move on with my day. I didn't find the chapstick though. Rest in peace. Few hours later, I get home, prepare some food, and there's my bottle opener, sitting nicely with the cutlery and silverware exactly where I always keep it. What the hell? I open my purse and yep, the other bottle opener is still there as well, exactly identical. I know for a fact I've only ever bought that one bottle opener before. I've never owned two at the same time, especially not for the same exact kind. I just assumed the thing duplicated itself or something. Whatever. Weird. Case notes are file 1115. The mystery of my magic bottle opener. So when unique items duplicate, there's no doubt of the glitch. If it happens to an ordinary item, say I got an extra plate in my cupboard, or I may never even realize. May just think, oh, do I already have another plate? Maybe not, you just brush it off. Or if socks go missing or cutlery. DOP and duplication events in many instances could be entirely unremarkable, unseen, and just forgotten. But when it's so unique, like a worn down remote or a particular bottle opener, it's almost as if a neon flashing sign from the universe is there. Accidental, yes, but bright as hell. Oh, and yeah, chapstick is a must. My lips get kinda rather dry if I don't use it after showering. Definitely recommended. Bonus file written by threwagainanotherday. The Dark Secrets of Old Holt House. I was exploring inside Old Holt House, which was a derelict school building built in the late 1800s or early 1900s, I think. All the windows on the ground floor were boarded up. You had to go up an old fire escape and then climb in through a hole in the roof above the windows at the top of the fire escape to get in. Then you could access the rest of the building from inside. It smelled of damp, and a lot of the floor was rotten. There were old exercise books and papers scattered around the floor, graffiti on some of the walls. Lots of the furniture had been smashed up. It had 3 floors, and some hidden or mostly inaccessible rooms in the roof space, unless you wanted to crawl down access tunnels on hands and knees, which we did. That's how we knew they were there. I was with a couple of mates. They were in another room upstairs. I went down to the middle floor, and as I rounded a corner into an old classroom, I almost walked into a man with a big belly wearing a brown suit. I freaked out. How the hell did he get in there? There's no way he came in the way we did in a suit. I ran back around the corner and back up the stairs and shouted to my mates, "There's a guy in a suit down here." They all laughed and said, "What the fluck," as if, and came to see. We went back to the room. Nothing. We searched the whole place as best we could. Nothing. Searching downstairs was impossible, really. We only had lighters, pre-mobile phone days. And a lot of the rooms were in complete darkness as they all had their windows boarded up. We never found the suit dude as he became known. I went in many other times and never saw him again. I still remember it vividly though. Super weird. The building was demolished a few years back after years of being derelict. Case notes for the bonus file. The Dark Secrets of Old Holt House. So that you went back several times after this. I mean, you're a braver soul than I am, or at least that I would have been as a teenager. Reminds me of the Gordon story, where a cable repairman was feeding cable through a wall of a very old building. A maintenance man appeared, a friendly chap, seemingly unaware that he was a ghost, or if aware, just lonely, and acting like was still just a maintenance man there. Maybe a similar scenario here. Perhaps the man you saw with a gut and wearing a brown jumpsuit, perhaps he was the janitor of the school over a century ago. You said you almost walked into him. Well, more likely through him. You know, I wonder if the folklore of walking through spirits invoking a feeling of extreme cold is true. There aren't many accounts of that happening. At least I don't often hear it described like that. In fact, I can't remember a time where I did hear a few accounts of people saying the room got colder, but not walking through it, like just as a presence of the ghost. So maybe just like an aura around the spirit. And maybe it's not as extreme, so most people don't mention it. Maybe it's slightly colder, but not like you're in a deep freeze freezer. And now time for the quote of the day. Every increased possession loads us with new wariness. John Ruskin. And this is part of why I'm a minimalist. I only buy what I need. And that's not to say that buying things is bad. It's just that if you overload yourself with material possessions, things you don't actually need, you clutter up your own environment, and that clutters up your mind and eventually reaches your soul. It's like trapping yourself with one of those ankle weights, you know, with the cannonball on the side of it. The ball and chain, as it said. Be proud of what you have. If you have a lot of money, that's cool. But I would suggest keep it as money, maybe invest it, you know, get gold and silver. That's cool. That's a material possession I like to have because it's shiny and valuable. But also, just get what you actually are going to use. And go, if you already have a lot of stuff, the best way to get rid of some of it is go through your possessions and anything you haven't used for over a year, at least put it in storage. I mean, that is a good suggestion for people that have a lot of stuff that don't want to get rid of it, still own it. Get a storage, an off-site storage bin. You can rent those for pretty cheap. I think $100 a month or something, and you get a lot of space. So you can store a lot of stuff that you maybe will need once a decade. Maybe you'll never need it, but at least you have it there. And it'll free your local environment, which is, I think, a very good thing. Yeah. Like the video, subscribe, hit the bell. Kinetic Symphony signing off.